Hi there. This will be my first thing since I've had my surgery. I've been doing a what did I call it? A little series before my surgery. I had it. Um, I can't remember what day it is. On the 6th, I know that. I got home yesterday, and I actually look better than I did when I woke up. Both my eyes here were swollen right shut. I actually looked like I was a punching bag in Mike Tyson's gym. It was that bad. My eyes were swollen shut for a good day and a half. I couldn't see at all. The nurses did their little flashlight thing to check your pupils. They had to pry my eyes open. It was a little funny. They would tell me, "Open your eyes wide," and I'm like, I'm trying, but I can't open them at all. My wife so far has taken off my bandages and cleaned up the staples. I got a good set. I don't think you can see a good set going right there. I got some up the side of my head right here. They go up and meet. A bunch in the back as well. Now, um, it hurts. It hurts like a bitch. I don't know what they did to me either. They must have dropped me on my back or something because my back is just so bad. I can't even bend to a 45-degree angle, and it just shoots pain between my back and my legs. Let's not even go near the headache. From what I was told they were doing, I had asked the surgeon before I went in how he was doing it. They had told me the part to be resectioned was about 4.5 centimeters within my temporal lobe. Well, he made it sound so easy, but I don't know. He said they were going to take a little microscope, and I can't remember exactly how he likened it. Basically, a microscope on a tube microscope, and a pair of micro scissors, and dig them in. You know, go through to the point without making cuts all the way down, and they'd try to avoid the neural pathways on the way down. I guess maybe they would inject my brain with fluid, dye, to map out where my blood was going, or have neurotransmitters take all the information they got from the EEGs I did. But anyway, they took those instruments, the little microscope and the little micro scissors, and removed the piece. The way he likened the size of it was pretty much you drop a marble into sand, and the impression it leaves is about the size of what they took out. I'm not gonna lie, it hurts like hell. I have been in agony. Headaches like you wouldn't believe. I've had constant headaches for years because of the seizures and medications, but these don't compare. I'm also very weak and very tired. I don't have much energy at all. And here I am, I think 3 days afterwards. I've been having a very hard time keeping track of dates, keeping track of time. I don't know if it was a situational thing. In the hospital, I couldn't make clear if it was 10 in the morning or 10 at night. I'd ask my wife, is it like 2 in the afternoon right now? Did they just bring my dinner at 2 in the afternoon and whatnot? Or bring my lunch at 10 in the morning? Anyway, I was in a room with no windows for a little bit in the intensive care unit. The reason I was in the intensive care, obvious, because they cut a section of my skull off, dug into my brain with those tools I mentioned, and there was a bit of complications apparently. They took me off all the machines that I had to be hooked up to for the surgery. As they were waking up, I think they told me they tried to give me some painkiller. I apparently had a reaction to it. My my lungs just wouldn't inflate. I was I was laying there, and from what the doctor and my wife described, I was just going there like, it sounded like I just couldn't breathe. My lungs wouldn't expand. So they had a tube in my mouth, a machine hooked up to breathe for me for a little bit. Thankfully, I came out of it okay. I don't remember it happening. It was quite an experience. I woke up completely unaware. I had a few things missing, obviously, but my wife says it almost brought her to tears that they were asking me about people who came with me, and I remembered her by her name, and I don't know who else I may have remembered or who else I may have forgot, whatever things. They were asking me throughout the whole couple of days of recovery what the date was or where I am. At least I remembered where I was each time, but the date, I could not get it straight. I thought it was November. I thought it was August. I thought a couple times it was even January at one point. I think I went with October once because I remembered making pumpkins with my son before we left. I figured, okay, well, Halloween's coming, and it's got to be October. So it was a little stressful, and it was definitely some odd experiences. There was a couple things that weren't so enjoyable. I mean, you can't go and say the surgery was enjoyable. I was pretty scared to death, and if it weren't for my family and the support I have behind me, it would have been a lot rougher than it was. I actually felt pretty abandoned when my wife happened to leave and go back to a hotel we rented for her to sleep at. I mean, she was supposed to be there to be with me through it. I know I was up for her being gone. The point was so she could sleep. I didn't want her sleeping in a hospital chair. But I just felt so sunken because I didn't remember her telling me she was going to be leaving. She's apologized for it over and over. But it was odd waking up with a catheter. I'm just thankful I was asleep when they put it in. I had an argument with a nurse. I felt like I really had to pee so bad one time. And the nurse just said, your bladder's empty. You don't have to pee. You don't have to. There's no way. And I had this extreme urge to have to pee. Turns out when they pulled it out, I did end up going all over myself. And I guess I kind of proved the nurse wrong. I did have to go. After you have one of them taken out, apparently it's quite hard. I have never had to push so hard to pee in my life. There's an odd feeling to have to pee in a container while you're sitting in a bed, especially with other people around you. But as for the surgery, after I went to I got out of the intensive care unit and got brought up to the epilepsy ward, the main neuro section, which I'd spent a couple weeks in doing doing all the testing for the surgery. I must say I love the nurses there. They are the best. They all go out of their way to make you feel like more or less like you're not just another person in a bed. You're actually going through a pretty rough time. I mean, you're away from your family for a couple of weeks at a time there. I've had a 15-day stint there last year, or a year and a half ago, something like that, almost 2 years ago. And then this past April, was about 18 days, I think, I spent there. Um, I think every nurse should aspire to be the kind of people they are. I even had one while I was there. I had such an upset stomach. She went out of her way to give me something of her personal lunch to help settle my stomach. Just something small. It was a can of ginger ale, but it meant the world. It was great. Water was so heavy on my stomach, it was making me sick. And she went out of her way to give me some of her own lunch. That's just one of these small examples. I'm sorry. Um, During my other times there, they had gone and, again, done something simple, went and bought me a coffee from the Tim Hortons downstairs because I had been complaining, or not complaining, but mentioning how in the world can the hospital call this coffee? I hadn't had any for 5 days except for the hospital stuff. So now I'm here. I've been having a hard time with dates. I can't remember how many days since my surgery.
It's been 6.
Oh, I just hear my wife yelling at me. It's been 6. I'm sitting at home. I'm in a good fair amount of pain, but I've got bandages off. My wound's cleaned, all the ink off my face. My eyes, the swelling has gone down a good fair amount. At least I could see. My back still hurts. I don't know what they did to it in the hospital. It might have been just aggravated a already bad injury from last year or over the years. Even it's the damage I've done to my surgery. Done to my back, which the surgeon, when I spoke to him, said may require surgery to fix. That's not very good to hear. I had explained to him how my back was when he asked about any other injuries I may have before I had the surgery. Well, I mentioned I had a very bad back and the fact that I had a cracked vertebrae and 3 crooked ones. And the doctor right out said, well, there's nothing we can really do to fix it without having to go in and fix it, especially that cracked vertebrae. It just won't heal. We may have to put a plate on it. And by the sounds of it, he said it's touching on nerves. It's got too much wiggle room. But anyway, I'm not feeling much different aside from the bad memory. I'm actually remembering things I didn't before. I had just said something about a friend I never remembered before. He was a big fan of the band Linkin Park and drove me nuts listening to them all the time. I couldn't stand them back when we were teenagers. Simple things like that I never would have remembered before. He kind of had a good laugh about it a few minutes ago. But anyway, I've had no seizures since the surgery, and I had about 4, I think, a couple days before the surgery. I'm still on medication. I will be for at least 6 months. They want to do more monitoring within 6 to 12 months and make sure I have no seizures with my medication before they start trying to take me off of it. I'm hopeful, very hopeful that they can take me off of it. Aside from that, I get these odd sensations. Something that goes along with the surgery, I was told, is see shadows out of the corner of your eyes. For example, like cars go by your house and you see the lights up on your ceiling. I see something like that. I was at my mother-in-law's yesterday having some of her delicious pumpkin pie. I was seeing one of those wacky inflatable tube guys coming out of a cookie jar on our counter, going up towards the light in above the table. It was weird. It wasn't nothing. Um, the heck's the word I'm looking for? Nothing characteristic to it except for the black shadow outline of it. It didn't have no color. It didn't have any design on it. It was just a gray shadow. I would like to say, for anybody who may end up having this surgery, um, if it's a very viable option, please do it. It's it's just too bad. The doctors do not tell you how much like excruciating pain you are going to be in. I have never felt headaches this bad. I have never been this weak physically before. If you're lucky like me and had the family support, like my wife spent a couple days with me in the hospital. She even went and slept in a single room hostel, of all places. In downtown Toronto, she would walk a good 10 minutes to the hostel, not hotel, hostel. Um, but she did it with no complaint. I'm also very lucky. She is a so far career PSW. I have a ton of help from her getting around. I've need help with bathing. I've need help shaving. She did that this morning for me. She's helped me get in and out of the bath. She's helped me get in and out of bed. She's helped me get up and out of chairs and walking around. Daily activities because they become very stressful. And if you have enough pain medications, I've been taking in the hospital. I had been taking about 2 Tylenol 3s at a time every 2 hours. That's a lot, but it was the only thing that killed the pain in my head. So get yourself together a good support behind you. You're going to need it, I assure you. It is. I couldn't imagine it alone. Um, I couldn't have done it alone. I know that for sure. I can't thank her enough. I can't thank my family enough, especially my mother-in-law Tammy. She has been taking care of our daughter, and the last thing I want to hear is a crying baby. I know it's not her fault. I miss her to tears. She only knows how to communicate through crying, and she doesn't understand, daddy hurts, please, quiet. But she's been more than happy to help and watch her while I'm at home recovering. I can't thank her enough. So I have her support behind me. I have my wife's support behind me. I have friends, even people I've never met. Like, I actually felt my friend Emily in England, of all places, halfway across the world, at my bedside when I needed somebody, just somebody in my mind to feel was there. And I could, feel her presence because she'd been there for so long. I hope you have friends like that can be there like that as well. You don't have to physically be there to be there. Just put it in your mind that they are there where you can remember them and you can feel them there. And that's what I felt of her, along with a lot of my other friends. My friend Chantal, she's been like my best friend since the day she was born. I would say since the day I was born, but I'm like 3 years older than her. I think she's about the only one I could say I've had a friend that long. My son, he is ecstatic I'm fine. And I can't wait to see him. So, temporal lobe resectomy, I think is what they called it. Have it done if you need to control seizures. It is painful. Of course it is. They're digging into your head. I think it might have been worse. It could have been better. But they had to go a good 4.5 centimeters deep into my brain to get to the point they needed to. If it's right on top, it might make things easier. They had to put a couple little probes and prods that far deep through all the neural pathways. It's no surprise. I'm having trouble with my memories. I found I've been having problems finding correct words for speaking as well. As you notice, I'm stuttering a bit trying to find words here. It's been happening since I got out of the hospital, since I woke up. I hope for anybody else who needs it done, you can get it and have the best surgeon in the world. I feel like I had a really great surgeon, Dr. Valiante at Toronto Western Hospital. I think he's the head of neurosurgery there. I have total confidence in him. He is exemplary at his job. He just does such great work. It's not just brains; he's a spinal surgeon as well. Make sure you know who you're trusting. I have found nothing but good things to read about this doctor, and I have experienced nothing but good things with him. He's got such a great bedside manner. He actually acts like he gives a rat's ass what you think about what you're going through, and he tries to not talk down to you, or not so much talk down to you, talk down the procedure. And he just brings it at you and explains things. It was very helpful to have a doctor like that. Sometimes I'd ask questions I thought were just stupid questions. And he just looked at me and gave a full and honest answer. And it was great help. Anybody in the Toronto area, even Canada, if you can go to see him, he's who I would recommend. Especially if you need any spinal work done, anything in your brain, anything in your neck, anything in your spine, he does all that. If you can believe it, I spent a good half hour before my surgery. I was in the pre-surgery room. I had gotten into the gown. I had gotten into all prepared, waiting for the OR to be ready. And I had spent about a half hour reading past surgery reviews of this guy. It was quite calming. It's quite a confidence booster. I didn't read any bad things about him. It was helpful. And I had done it before. When I was told first a couple months ago he would be doing the surgery. But sitting there reading testimonies from past people who have done it, done surgeries with him. I read one lady, he basically allowed her son to walk again. I couldn't be any happier to read that. I was like, wow, this guy, poor kid had spine issues, and he fixed his spine and nerves enough to allow him to walk again. How many doctors can say they've done that? I personally know somebody who's had that happen as well, and I can bet it wasn't easy. I know it wasn't the same surgeon, though. So please, anybody with epilepsy out there, if you need to, if your meds aren't working, look into it. One testimony I read about his surgery work, the same procedure, a girl has gone over 6 years now without a seizure after his hands touched her. 6 years is a long time, a very long time, especially when you can barely go 6 days, right? And that's the result I'm hoping for. So, if it works, it's worth the pain. It's excruciating. But again, have that support with you. Please don't walk into it alone, because you're not going to. I don't care how strong-willed you are, everybody needs somebody. And I couldn't have done it without these people. So make sure you have those people behind you, but go for it. The excruciating pain right now, even the thought of not taking medications anymore and not having seizures ever again is making me think, okay, you know what, this is worth it. The idea of it happening is making me think it's worth it. Pain will go away. Sooner or later, it will go away. Unfortunately, epilepsy just will not just go away. It'll stay with you for life. So, do it. But know your doctor. Know your surgeon. Know your condition. Know what they're doing. Know the people around you. Plan ahead. I have gotten home and I have found myself running in circles because I didn't plan ahead for when I got home. This place is kind of a mess and there's things everywhere, and I've been trying to find things I knew where they were when I left, but they seemed to grow feet. They moved. I can't find them anymore. So I've been running in circles. Hopefully I can come back, make another video in my whole epilepsy story series here, and say 6 to 10 months time, say, hey, okay, my doctors have decided to get me off my medications. I'm still haven't had a seizure. I'm sorry, I can't remember how many days it's been since I had the surgery. I can't remember, and I just told you. But I haven't had a seizure since. It's been pretty great. I was first thinking, shit, I've had many seizures, and they don't hurt as much as this. This was my thinking in the hospital. Give me my bloody seizures. I will take the pain from them instead of this. But the thought of never having them again, as I said, makes it worth it. It will go away. It will take 6 to 8 weeks, they say. Maybe longer, maybe shorter. It could depend on you. I know the surgery I had to have the intracranial VEEG before this. The scar still hurt. And this was done in April of 2016. And they still hurt. And here it is. What month is it? October, yeah. So it's been that long. It's been well over a couple months, a year. Yeah, because I did that in 2015. My daughter was 2 weeks old when I left.
It was 2016.
So, yeah, I left my 2-week-old daughter back home for a month. That was hard. I left her again now but I'm glad I have her smiling face to come home to. I wouldn't have it any other way. Except for, as I said, I could not take her screaming. That girl's got lungs. So thank you again, Tammy, for watching her. I love you. I really do. You're the best mother-in-law anyone could ask about. You hear so many horror stories like mother-in-laws are batshit crazy. Well, I guess I'm lucky enough to get one that's the best I could ask for. Anyway, I'm going to go eat something. I've barely eaten in the last couple of days since my surgery. Food just goes down in small portions. It's like your brain's saying, no, don't eat. For crying out loud, I turned down bacon this morning. Okay? Who turns down bacon? Really? I've actually been craving a lot of fruit. Melons and grapes and such. I can hear my wife fiddling in the kitchen. I hope she's making something small. I'll come back when I have something else to say. Another update. One big worry of mine kind of went away too. I had been worried about the brain function, the memory function after the surgery, that maybe I'd forget my big thing, my music. I found myself quite literally playing my guitar in the hospital. I mean, you could see all these dudes air guitaring a song that they like. Well, I was actually putting my fingers in the correct position on a guitar, because I didn't have it. But I was listening to some music while I was in my hospital bed, and I was actually playing along. It felt nice to remember how to play the song. I wasn't going crazy air guitar. I had my hands in the correct places, fingers go in the right shape to form a chord, whatever. So that has stuck with me. My big fear has not come. Hopefully it stays that way. My head does not want to hear an amplifier right now. That's for sure. So I haven't picked one up since I got home. So anyway, this is an update on how my surgery went, how I'm doing. Hopefully I can get past what happened so far. And these people that I have with me stay with me through all this. I have a feeling I'm going to need the help. I love you all. Clearly, you all love me. I can't ask for more. I frankly would feel bad asking for more. You've given me a lot. So everyone, find those friends, find those family, find those doctors you trust and know. And you don't so much have to get yourself psyched up to get it done. Like, don't get a go-getter attitude. No. Take it one step at a time. It was very relaxing walking to the operating room. When you just take a deep breath because you know where you're going to, right? As I was walking there, I was just taking a deep breath and I was talking to the doctor about the procedure. It's good to be informed on what you're doing. It's just a little bit of advice, but please take it. So until later, I hope you enjoyed what I've had to say. It's been a rough road, as you've all seen. For those of you who have watched all my videos, it's come to a head right now anyway. The only way to go is up from this point. I don't think I can sink any farther. That's reassuring. So have a good night. It's 8 o'clock by my time right here. Have a good evening. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your family. Hold them close. I came close to losing mine in the hospital. I needed a machine to breathe for me for a while. I came close to losing everybody, everybody came close